Yes, again, I'm happy to welcome you to the continuation from where we left in taking off. From the previous class, we only able to measure about the damp proof and the walling. Today, we want to talk about taking off of the how we can take off in the columns and the beams where we are required to, under the search, we're supposed to take off concrete, let's say concrete to vertical columns to vertical columns. So according to the standard methods of measurement, concrete is being measured into cubic meter, where for the columns we have to get the area of the column and multiply by the height of the column. So say assume a column of 200 millimeters by 300 millimeters. Which means this is how our columns will be looking at. Let's say 200 by 200, 200 by 200 millimeters column. So it's a square column. So we have the 200 millimeters. We have 200 millimeters. But now we are on the concrete. So say length is equals to, or the height, length is 200 millimeters. Then width again is 200 millimeters, while the depth will be equals to the height of the wall or the height of the column, where we'll be having it as 2,400 millimeters. And say again on the concrete, you are supposed to describe the class of the concrete we are going to use, or the ratio of concrete you are going to use. Again, you're supposed to tell this examiner or the person who is going to mark, because in these normal circumstances, after taking off every part, you are supposed to give someone to check for you. Maybe there's something that you have omitted when you are taking off. You have to give someone to check for you before you proceed to the next level. So again, you have to tell him that this concrete must be vibrated to avoid the air voids, to remove the air voids. So say 1 to 2 to 4 reinforced, well vibrated, reinforced concrete. 2 vertical columns to vertical columns. Then on the entry column, we have to start with the length, which is 0.20, width 0.20, then we have the depth as 2.40. Close. On the timesing column here, you have to multiply by the number of columns that we are given. In this plan, we have 10 number of columns. We have 10 number of columns. We have to multiply by 10. So it means we have 10 number of columns, but each column measure this. For us to get the quantity of concrete in this, we'll have to multiply this by this times 10. Then we put into the sum column. Though that one we are not supposed to do in exam. That is a secretarial job. When we continue with the where now that taking off of, you have taken off for the reinforcement. Let's go to formwork. Formwork to sides of vertical columns to vertical columns. Formwork to sides of vertical columns. Again, formwork according to standard methods of measurement. Formworks, you are supposed to tell the examiner the where this formwork is supposed to be used, then it also requires to know that formwork, when it is more than 300 millimeters, you can measure formwork into linear meter or it can be measured into square meter. But for this our class, we want to open the column. We say this is the range from 0 millimeters to 200 millimeters thick. Formwork is being measured into linear meter. Then more than 300 millimeters, greater than 300 millimeters should be measured into square meter. That's what standard methods of measurement requires. When you want to measure a thickness less than 200 millimeters, should be measured into linear meter, but more than 300, then we have to measure in square meter. But for this our column, we want to use the superficial flow method, where we want to open this our column, so that if you open this our column, we'll have to get such this. Then now will be the length, no, the width. Width will be 200 plus 200 plus 200 plus 200, giving us 800 millimeters. Since 800 millimeters is more than the 300 millimeters, then simply we have to measure this our formwork into square meter. Then our length will be the length of the column, where we have said it is 2400 millimeters. Then again you have to tell this one the size of the formwork we are going to use. Formwork, we can use the 150 millimeters by 25 millimeters, or we can use the 200 by 150 by 25 millimeters. Those are the only two types of formwork that is available in the market. So let's go for the 200. Say 200 millimeters by 2500 millimeters thick carcassin timber to provide formwork to sides of ditto. Then it means this we close that our entry. Then our length we have said was 2.40, but the width was 0.8 meters. We close, but because this is only a formwork for one column, then you have to multiply by 10 number of column. Then that entry will be complete. Let's go to measure for the reinforcement to columns. Reinforcement. Reinforcement to columns. In the normal circumstances, according to standard methods of measurement, reinforcement is being measured into kilogram per meter. So you have to get the length of the reinforcement, then you multiply by the standard unit, which is kilogram per meter. For the reinforcement, if you are supposed to tell the examiner the types of reinforcement bars you want to use in this, you want to take off. So reinforcement bars comes in different sizes. You can have the D8, you can have the D10, you can have D12, you can have D16, you can have D20, you can have D25, then you can have D40, D32, then you have D40. So you have to tell the examiner which types of bar you want to take off. So let's start by the size of the column. As you have seen, it was 200. assume this is the column we want to use. This is our column. This 200, but the thickness to be 2400. Because it is only 200 by 200, we have to assume the full number of columns or bars of the column. So length of bars on one column. So we have 4 number, but one length, the length of one is 2.4, 2400, giving us 9600 millimeters on one column. But we have 10 number. So this is for one. So let's go for the, so this is the main bar. This is the main bar. If you go to links or you can call them links or stirrups. Then assume we have in this at this point you have to assume the spacing you want to use by placing these your links. So you say assume links are spaced at 200 millimeters center to center, 200 millimeters center to center. So number of links is equals to 2400 divided by 200 millimeters plus 1, giving us 112, giving us 13 number. It means we have 13 number of links per column. But this is the length of one bar, one link. Then length of one link is equals to 200 plus 200 plus 200 plus 200, giving us 800. So one length will have that, but the whole column will have 13 links. So the description column says the 12 reinforcement bars, 2 vertical columns, they say times kilogram. They say D8 reinforcement bars to D2 means the vertical columns to D2. Then again you have to multiply by kilogram, because that is the standard measurement. If you come to entry column, then you simply have to put the length of one of main bars, which was 9.60, but this is only the length in one column, but we have 10 such number of columns. If you come to the lengths, you have said we have length of one, our length was 0.8 meters, but in one column we have 13 such number. We have to multiply 13, but the total number of columns were 10. Then you close this our entry and it will be complete. From there we'll mark the end. So now before we end, now if you want to take off for the beams, is that the same thing? You have to determine the length of the wall where you use the center line. Then again, for you to get the lengths, you assume the spacing for the beams where you want to space your stirrups. Then you measure using the same procedure. From there, we'll mark the end of our taking off of the superstructure. The next class will be now taking off of the roof. Thank you.